Welcome back to stage 2 in Minehead, where Mike D. Decker has just proved that he is the real deal by beating a plucky Jim Williams in the previous match. Over on the main stage, Josh Rock, the man who many say is the future of the sport, has been knocked out in the opening round, beaten by Scotland's Cameron Menzies. Also on that stage earlier today, the number 1 seed Damon Heta was sent packing by Pietreszko of Germany as well. Some shock results on that stage. No real massive shocks on this one, Paul, and I would say in this match, whichever outcome it is, would not be surprising either.
Very fair to say. Interesting seasons both, but I suppose the largest narrative is that this is the first season that Krzysztof Ratajski's been a full-time pro where he hasn't won yet, because he could still win a title, and he had to wait till the very end of the season in 2021 to get his first victory. In fact, it was the 30th Players' Championship that he won against Joe Cullen in the final. He's going to have to wait even longer in 2022 if he is to keep his trend going.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First leg, it's William to throw first. Game on.
For William O'Connor, it's been a little bit of what's happened before, because he made a European Tour final, somewhat against the run of play, you would say, but the likelihood of him having a run is always there. And the one thing I've got to ask you, Murph, about Willie O'Connor is, does he have some unfinished business here at Minehead, considering what happened at the UK Open?
Yeah, I think Willie O'Connor will see it that way. He's certainly the type of player to get the bit between his teeth, isn't he? He's quite a calm character most of the time, but when he has a point to prove, it's often when we see the best of the Magpie, and we've seen the best of him there in one visit.
You won't see me backing him into a corner anytime soon, because... Have you ever shook hands with Willie O'Connor?
No, I can't stand him.
Honestly, it's like shaking hands with somebody who's from the X-Men. It's like his hand's made of steel.
134.
Yeah, he's into all the cage fighting and stuff like that, isn't he? He works as a joiner as well.
Probably doesn't even need a hammer.
He
just nuts the nails in.
Has reached the quarterfinals in this tournament, as well as that semi-final run at the UK Open earlier this year.
Got great CV. Winner on tour, of course. Not for 3 and a bit years.
64.
But got great level of ability, great amount of confidence, good aggression levels as well. And this might be the kind of game where he can get his teeth into the challenge. Because Ratajski's about as fragile right now as he has been over the last 5 years.
People forget that Willie O'Connor's also a major finalist, of course, on TV. World Cup finalist. Ooh, that was almost in the double. That was in the double, and that's the first leg to Willie O'Connor.
Your reaction there to that single name was exactly the same as mine.
Well, I suppose going closer to the double than treble when you're going that route means that you're not going to bust your score. It is something that you can still salvage. If you hit treble 9 on 25, of course, it's visit over.
Yep, very well said. You know, we talked about Menzies and Sherrick being a couple in the world of darts. So, of course, Mr. Ratajski is married to his wife Carolina, who graced the lakeside. Very handy dart player.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will ever top the Manleys, who were...
I challenge that.
Well, okay, I'll see your challenge, but the reason I say that is because they were both world number 1 at the same time.
I wonder if Maureen Flowers and Eric Bristow were.
A good point.
But I'm going back a little bit further.
59.
They were a proper Hollywood couple in darts back in the 80s. But you make a great point about Chrissy and Peter. That is an amazing achievement.
1 dart and 2 darts as well.
43.
How would you categorise the season for Ratajski? Because he has been he's been one of those players who's surviving to make tournaments, like the European Championship. He only just made it.
I think you'd have to give it a D for disappointing.
59. Krzysztof, you require
I think he would probably give himself
140.
that mark.
Exactly. Well, we can only judge players by the standards that they have set themselves.
And just because they've done it for the last 4 years
58.
doesn't mean that they're going to do it the next season. Sport is all about continued commitment, but ultimately we have to bow to the fact that we are getting older and things get more tough.
Required 56.
And it's just got a little bit more tough by that pressure piling max from the Magpie. Of course, it is a meeting between the Magpie and the
36.
Eagle here.
William, you require 120.
But it's this bird that's in full flight right now.
That could be sitting pretty. He didn't flight it enough.
60.
Can only
Krzysztof,
get
you
half of what he
require
needed.
20.
Ratajski's looking at tens.
Game shot on the second
Tens
leg.
give him his first leg of the contest,
Third
but
leg
a
is
somewhat
Williams and
scrappy
Rose.
affair so far. Now, I was listening to a great piece with Dan Dawson and John Part
93.
on the PDC social channels, by the way. If you haven't seen the interview with Dan and John Part, you must give it a listen. A fabulous, fabulous listen. I listened to it yesterday in the car on the way to Minehead.
60.
John's stories were both informative, funny, and there was a great deal of truth in there about why John Part is not seen in North America as more of a
96.
superstar, being a 3-10 world champion. And he was talking about the exposure of live TV darts in North America. That leads me to Krzysztof. Why aren't we seeing
60.
more of an impact from the Polish media, or indeed more Polish players coming through? I think it's got something to do with TV rights and that kind of thing. Look what happened in Belgium in September. We finally broke through with Belgium this year, and that crowd in Visa was outrageous.
Ratajski was just kicking something out of the way there on the carpet.
140.
I don't know what that is. You can just see to the left of Willie O'Connor's feet a little bit of debris on the floor there. It seemed to bother Ratajski.
57.
Somebody get the broom. What is it? Has somebody left a flight up there, not collected it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is.
See, now we're going to have to start Oki Watch.
84.
Oh,
William, you require
it's the dreaded
155.
duct tape. Could have been used for anything. Cancel Oki Watch.
59.
Problem
Krzysztof,
solved.
you require
Well, Ratajski's had enough now, that's
157.
it.
Get rid of it. If it's bothering you, Krzysztof, pick it up.
Well, the thing is, if it's tape, it's going to stick to the floor, isn't it? So he's fighting a bit of a losing battle here.
You know, it's a bit like vacuuming up a hair clip. It's just going to do the vacuum more damage. So just
137. William, you
bend
require
over,
96.
pick it up, and put it on the table.
Can O'Connor pick up the leg? As
56.
Ratajski's been rattled by a little bit of
Krzysztof,
tape.
you require
I'll tell you what, if he
20.
hits his double 10, he might leave it there. Might become a lucky charm.
Game shot
Yeah, just leave it, Krzysztof, honestly.
Krzysztof Ratajski.
He might be giving you some sort of anchored focus.
Krzysztof to throw first. Game on.
He did have a little glance down and decided, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Lucky charm.
Tell you what, if he wins this game, goes forward into Saturday,
96.
Yeah,
he might pick it up and keep it.
viewers on the main stage, you can see him putting a bit of tape down on the Oki. Sunday night in the final, you know why.
Now, the winner of this game is going to take on either Jose de Souza or Danny Jansen. And that's a game we're going to bring you on this stage this afternoon. Always love a Danny Jansen game. What a lot of fun he has brought to the tour this year.
Yeah, it really has. The European champion as well has had a fun year. Ross Smith, he's in action now on the main
58.
stage, takes on the replacement for Peter Wright, Jan van Veen, who made a run to a final of one of the Players' Championship events, despite not having a tour card himself. Very exciting Dutch prospect.
Yeah, he's got an interesting few days ahead of him, hasn't he? He's got the Western European qualifier for the World Championship tomorrow, but only if he's eliminated.
40.
Yeah, and he's also playing in the Motor Super Series event on Monday. So he's got to, if he does lose to Ross Smith, fly back to mainland Europe playing that, then fly back to England.
59.
He could really do with a friend with a helicopter.
Or just keep winning games here.
Yeah, that'll do it. Just win the tournament and get in the Worlds that way.
43.
Would he?
Would
Would he get enough?
You can have a look at that while Ratajski has a look at this. Not only will he look at it, he almost got it. Nothing O'Connor can do now but try and apply some pressure. 19s was the intended target.
123. Krzysztof requires 60.
Double 8. For a little bit of a buffer here for Ratajski. Gets it.
On the fourth leg. Krzysztof
I can
Ratajski,
confirm that
fifth
if
place,
Jan van
wins
Veen was to
throw
win
first.
this tournament, he'd be on £122,000, which would only get him to around about 37 in the world. So he wouldn't make the world that way, because the world ranking money that's on offer here only goes on the overall order of merit, not on the Pro Tour order of merit.
So what you're saying is he could win the tournament at the expense of a World Championship sport.
Yep.
137.
Wow.
Crazy, isn't it? Actually, as it stands, the person who is currently number 32 in the world, and that is not
100.
guaranteed, is Raymond van Barneveld. But you want to be in the top 32. You want to be a seed, because that is a guaranteed £15,000, and you don't have to play in round one. Guess who's number 33? Adrian Lewis. He's going to be on this board this afternoon, so we'll talk about that in a bit more in due course.
Next. We're going to be on this board next against Keane Barry. What a game that could prove to be.
171.
Then it will be De Sousa against Janssen, the match Paul mentioned. Dirk van Dijvenbode against Mickey Mansell. Ryan Searle against Mervyn King. All coming up in the next few matches. But what a setup shot that was from Willie O'Connor.
Yeah, this game's got potential if Willie can just make sure that Ratajski's not going to get to that 4 or 5 mark. And he's not going to get there in 3 darts when he keeps leaving shots like 166.
98.
That's an extraordinary last start there from Willie. He strides around that stage with purpose.
Well, the 166 was avoidable as well from Ratajski. The last start in the previous visit was a single 19. So that was a mathematical error, and one that O'Connor benefits from. Ooh, snatched the dart out, didn't he?
That's happened a few times already today. People snatching their darts at the board. Let's face it, fellas. The darts do as they're told.
123.
They're not doing anything wrong. And right now, Ratajski's doing a really good job of maintaining the advantage of having the throw.
100.
I thoroughly enjoyed today. I think it's been excellent so far.
Yeah, really good stuff. Just to recap, I mean, the best performance so far has still been the first one. I think you'd agree with that, Paul.
59.
Yeah, I mean, Gildo was just brilliant. And this is the face of shock, by the way. I'm not shocked at all.
Yeah, Paul Nicholson
58.
deadpan at the premier performance from Goldfinger. He beat Ricky Evans 6-2, averaged 101 in the process. Wins 2 for Callan Rids, Keegan Brown, Scott Williams, Jim Williams and Daryl
57.
Gurney on stage 2. Sorry, win for Daryl Gurney over Keegan Brown, my mistake.
32.
Yeah, none of them anywhere near as dominant as that from Gilding, but Gurney did win 6-3. Scott Williams won 6-4, and Dideka beat Jim Williams 6-4.
I just want to go into Ratajski's season, actually, as he looks at
100.
maintaining that two-leg cushion
128.
after he's had the advantage of throw. Looking likely. I'd like to go a little bit deeper into the season of Krzysztof, because there's been a lot made
96.
of sometimes in this season where he hasn't looked comfortable releasing the dart, and I think sometimes we too quickly try and
57.
confine them to the dreaded dartitis. Well,
32.
obviously that is not the case for Krzysztof. Double 16. He's had a love affair with this double over the last 5 years.
Game shot, the seat flag.
And that is very Ratajski-like for a 4-2 lead. But if we look at his season, he made a final back in Players' Championship 22. Lost 8-3 to Aspinall, one of the best players
96.
on the Pro Tour this year. He's made another semi-final. He's made another 4 quarter-finals, and you think, well, that's a very, very good season.
59.
But it just goes to show what we judge Krzysztof Ratajski on, because he hasn't won. He's been that good the last 5 years
59.
that this is his worst season in 5, when in fact it hasn't been that bad.
Yeah, well, certainly 2 or 3 years ago, everybody was saying he's potentially the next to lift a big one. It never materialised. But I think sometimes that's a little bit of a lottery of a prediction to make, because it very rarely is the player you expect, is it? I mean, we talk about Ross Smith, the man who's playing on the main stage right now. Nobody was talking about him going into the European Championship as a title winner.
Yep. And here is a little bit of proof as to why maybe Ratajski hasn't won this year. Now, that's an extraordinary 180. I don't know how he squeezed that in the middle. But if you think back to Players' Championship 1 this year, which was won by Luke Humphries, and the runner-up was Ryan Searle, Krzysztof was on a great run that day. And you think, maybe Ratajski's going to go back-to-back after winning the last one from the previous season. This is how he was disposed of in those quarterfinals by Ryan Searle. 115.02 average. Sometimes people are just too good.
It could be 113 that causes Ratajski trouble here. And that's exactly what's happened as O'Connor keeps himself in contention.
Doesn't give a massive amount away, does he?
58.
But it's remarkable to think that it's been 3.5 years since his sole title, and 3.5 years since that World Cup final with Steve Lennon, which has to be one of the greatest things that's ever happened to Irish darts.
Yeah. And one of the next best things is the emergence of Keane Barry, who's going to be on this stage straight after this match.
Look, Irish darts has never been in a better place in the last 3 years. 2019 was enormous. World Cup final, win for O'Connor. John O'Shea won the World Masters that year. Keane Barry won the youth. Katie Sheldon won the youth. All of a sudden this barrage of Irish talent has come through, and I'm not just talking about the Republic of Ireland. Now Northern Ireland has never been better with Josh Rock, that is. Darryl Gurney, Brendan Dolan, Nathan Rafferty, who, quite frankly, this year has been overlooked because of the brilliance of Josh Rock, and Nathan actually beat him in the Order of Merit in the development tour.
And Nathan Rafferty plays Luke Humphries in the first round here. We've lost Brendan Dolan, of course, already. We saw him defeated to Jermaine Watermainer. We've lost Josh Rock as well, knocked out by Cameron Menzies on the main stage. Irish eyes not smiling at Minehead so far.
Not yet. Oh, well, I hate to say it, but that dart is better on the floor than in the one. Because he's still on a 2 darter, whereas if he'd hit the 1, he would have been on a 3 darter. So maybe a little bit of fortune there. Ah, the old 5/16s route for the 100. Beautiful.
Ninth leg, it's Williams to throw first. Game on. .76.
All square then. In a decent battle between Ratajski and O'Connor.
137.
Do you know what I was saying about players having home and away shirts earlier? Earlier on in his pro career, Ratajski used to flick between the red one and the dark blue one. I used to love that dark blue shirt. I thought it was really, really nice. But he never goes away from the red now. I know you're sick of me talking about dart shirts,
Maybe,
but
maybe
there is definitely a trend of players just having one.
maybe, actually, on this occasion, 2 of your points could be woven together here, because maybe it is
55.
an attempt to get recognised more in Poland.
Well, let's face it, he is the Robert Lewandowski of darts. And I can't pay him a bigger compliment than that.
It's certainly a nod to the Polish flag, isn't it, that shirt? As is the shirt of Willie O'Connor to the Irish flag.
I don't want to be nasty, but
58. Krzysztof, you require 109.
they both failed at World Cups.
It's
true, though. Poland, I've been talking them up for 3 years, and they've failed every time. And Lewandowski hasn't even scored at a World Cup.
139. Krzysztof, you require
You might not
60.
feel at Minehead. And some people call this the home of world darts, don't they?
Krzysztof Ratajski.
I get the sense neither player in this match is feeling quite at home, even 9 legs into it. Still a little bit of tension. I think it's a
Game on.
difficult game to navigate. Both players may be seeing it that way. And I think they also see the next match as very winnable, because Jose de Sousa's not had the greatest year of his career, and Danny Jansen so far, and I mean this with ultimate respect to the mullets, has been a one-hit wonder.
97.
He's had some runs, but as far as deep runs,
You can
so
count them.
I said that like Axel Foley, but deep
You
undercover.
can count them on one finger.
Yeah, it was unexpected, that win back in April.
140.
But I think looking at this draw of O'Connor versus Ratajski, I still maintain what I said at the start of the match. This is a very 50-50 game.
Yeah, and when you look at the seedings, it shouldn't be, because Ratajski's 15, O'Connor's 50.
Now, Ratajski right now in this position is thinking, don't you dare hit a 145 plus. Don't hit a 145 plus. He should go the bull. Should have gone the bull. 145 would have left 167, which is exactly where Ratajski is.
At this point in the match, that is a really bad error from Willie O'Connor, because it could be the end of the match. He should be coming back now, having a go at the same equation that Ratajski's just failed to take out.
They are the kind of mathematical and tactical errors that cost you matches. Now, ultimately, it may not have made any difference, but he didn't get the chance.
And this is Ratajski's chance. That could be a little bit tricky, but he finds a way in. He finds a way to win. And Krzysztof Ratajski gets the better of William O'Connor, who bows out in the opening round at the Players' Championship Finals. Semi-finalist here in Minehead at the UK Open, but will not be having such a run at the Players' Championship. Ratajski's run takes him into round 2.